Meeting council to order for 3 p.m. Ask for a motion from Councillor Kinghorn that council adopt the agenda for the regular council meeting March 13th as amended to add item 6.5, the collective agreement changes and council ratification.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. I'll give you that motion.
Thank you. All in favor? Good. Meeting approvals. Ask for a motion from Councillor Jones that the following are adopted by omnibus motion. In accordance with Council's procedure bylaw, the February 27th regular council meeting minutes as presented and the strategic priorities chart.
I'll give you that motion, Mayor Snodgrass.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Any public comments regarding items on the agenda? See none, hear none. Thank you. Cemetery bylaw, David.
I've provided to you bylaw 4614-2023, a bylaw to establish control and regulation of the cemeteries operated by and under the control of the town of High River. So as a backgrounder, council passed cemetery bylaw 4559-2019, authorizing control and regulation of the town of High River Cemetery, and the repealing of cemetery bylaw 3510-84, which had been given a substantive review as it did not meet town needs. Within cemetery bylaw 4559-2019, most sections, including definitions, had been expanded. Cemetery bylaw 4614-2023 further expands on definitions and operating procedures to be consistent with the Cemeteries Act and current needs of the town, including those contained within Resolution RC 16-2023 regarding the columbarium niche resale as approved by council within its meetings of February 13th, 2023. By passing cemetery bylaw 4614-2023, cemetery bylaw 4559-2019 is repealed. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Any questions from council? So this is just to bring the columbarium legalities alongside with the full burial plot legalities and make them. Okay, so I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Barton that council give first reading to bylaw 4614-2023 and that council give second reading to bylaw 4614-2023 and that all council present give unanimous consent to proceed with third and final reading of bylaw 4614-2023.
Yeah, I'm a motion, Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Nychuk that council give third and final reading to bylaw 4614-2023 and the council repeal bylaw 4559-2019, cemetery bylaw to establish control and regulation cemeteries operated by and under the control of the town of High River.
I'll give you that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, David. JPA 4, Sarah.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. The purpose of this item before you is for Council to consider accepting the attached terms of reference for Joint Planning Area Number 4, and then directing administration to file that attachment with CMRB administration. According to the Calgary Metropolitan Region Growth Plan, all municipalities that are a member to a joint planning area or a JPA must complete a terms of reference first and then a context study for the respective JPAs. The town of High River is a member of one JPA. It's called JPA number 4 and is between the town of High River and Foothills County. Therefore, High River and Foothills were required to prepare the attached terms of reference, which will guide the completion of the context study for JPA number 4. If council accepts the terms of reference as presented, it will fulfill the CMRB's requirement for terms of reference. Then the town administration will work with Foothills County Administration to complete the context study for JPA number 4, and is proposed that the work plan will start in July of 2023, and that the work will be completed by August of 2025. The administrations of both municipalities, with direction from the Intermunicipal Committee, or IMC, will be responsible for the project management and for the preparation of this context study. Project management may include issuing an administration of requests for proposals for technical studies that have been approved by the IMC, as well as managing any technical consultants hired. The administration for both municipalities will design and implement a public and stakeholder engagement process. And both administrations will provide regular reports on the progress of this project to the IMC and to our respective councils. And we will cooperate as directed by the IMC to ensure the completion of the tasks outlined within the terms of reference. Throughout the course of this project, the IMC may determine that there is a requirement to retain technical consultants. That has not been determined yet, either way, or potentially the need to purchase data or materials to support the completion of the context study, in which case a recommendation to allocate funds will be provided to both councils for approval. Staff time, particularly from the Planning and Development Division, will be required for this project, which will be taking place between July 2023 and August 2025. Therefore, administration's recommendations are as follows: that council accept the terms of reference for the context study for JPA 4 as presented, and that council direct administration to file the terms of reference with the CMRB administration as per section 3.1.9.5 of the growth plan. If council accepts the terms of reference for the context study for JPA 4, then administration will go ahead with the filing. Are there any questions?
Questions from council? Councillor Kinghorn?
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. So looking at JPA 4, does it include, I'm looking at the geographic area, does it include 498, as we call it? Or is it like just to the north? How does that work? Because we're talking about doing stuff on the south side of 498.
Okay.
I'm looking at your map here, and it looks like there's a line right down the middle of the road, but I don't know what that means. Just to be clear, for clarification, please.
Yes, JPA 4 does include the entirety of 498.
So I'm assuming that's the roadway itself, anything that goes on or off that roadway. Thank you.
Yes, it actually includes some land both to the north and to the south of 498. So 498 is not the cutoff. It's fully included in JPA 4.
Any other questions, Councillor Kinghorn?
No, thank you, Mayor Snodgrass.
Okay. No further questions. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Smith that council direct that the terms of reference for Joint Planning Area 4 be filed with CMRB administration as presented.
I'll give you that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Sarah. United Way High River Partnership Grants. Shelley? And Glenda?
Good afternoon, Your Worship, Mayor Snodgrass, Council, Town of High River staff, and guests. My name is Glenda Cutforth, and I'm the chair of the United Way High River Partnership. Kelly Coote from the Town of High River is accompanying me today. I will ask that if council has any specific questions regarding the individual community grants, that you please refer your questions to Shelley, because she is the most familiar person with the grant applications and applicants. You have in your package copies of the applications that were made to our United Way Funding Committee. $10,000 to BGC Foothills Club for Youth at Promise, $1,880 to Foothills Community Immigrant Services for Youth Connect Cultural Group, $7,000 to Inclusion Foothills for family-centered support, $10,000 to High River Food for Thought Limited for the student lunch program, $7,500 to Wild Rose Community Connections for Food Connects Food Security, $1,800 to the High River Performing Art Foundation for their summer series youth events. That one's new this year. $11,820 to No Student Goes Hungry from the United Way High River Partnership Committee for Snacks and Meals Programs in and out of school. In the $11,820 included, there was $3,500 donation to United Way from the River City Classics and Eamon's Garage Historical Society, specifically designating that their $3,500 be allocated to the local schools in High River from funds raised from their Show and Shine, the first annual Brian Chip Chase Show and Shine last September 2022. It shows us how much the community pulls together to give a hand up to those in our community that are less fortunate. The total of the listed grants is $50,000. Annual funding from the Calgary and Area United Way was $44,537. Some of those funds came from the citizens of High River, donated through their employment directly to the High River United Way Partnership. Our local funding efforts for 2022 resulted in a total of $5,358. While fundraising efforts still remain below pre-pandemic rates, our committee did see an increase in 2022. The COVID pandemic was extremely difficult for our United Way committee. We did not meet in person for 3 years until this January 2023. We met on Zoom, but we didn't meet in person, and there's a big difference. We also lost two of our major fundraisers, the Great Scott Tournament and the Boxing Day Hockey Tournament, for a total loss of 10,000 plus funds to us. Ouch, and it did hurt. Yes, it has left a huge hole. However, the United Way Committee is strong and already looking at new funding projects to replace the one that we lost during COVID. Watch out for our ladies, for there'll be an upcoming bunco night in this spring, and the return possibly of celebrity server in the fall when we'll ask each of you to help us out. Also, in 2023, the United Way Committee is hopeful that we will be able to host the grand opening for our Brian Perry Youth Park located across from Highwood High School in the location of the old putting green. I would be remiss if I did not mention the hard work of Shelley Coote and her amazing staff. They go above and beyond for us. I also want to thank the United Way Committee. They continue to astonish me with the continued drive to make High River a better community to live in. Many have volunteered 10+ years and some even more. Thank you to the town of High River for your continued support of High River United Way Partnership. Your support is greatly appreciated and essential to all agencies that we support through the grant funding process. I hope Council will look favorably on our presentation and grant the funds accordingly. Thank you for your time today, and if there's any questions.
Thanks, Glenda. Questions from council? Our job's pretty easy, Glenda. We're taking your guys' recommendation because you're the pros at it and you guys do such a wonderful job every year, and we trust you implicitly as to the recommendations you're bringing forward. We know they're the right ones because you folks are doing it, so ours is easy. Exactly.
Tough.
Exactly. So I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Kinghorn. The council approved the allocation as recommended by the United Way High River Partnership Investment Subcommittee of the 2022 United Way High River Partnership Community Grants, with funding to come from the 2023 approved budget of $50,000 as follows: $10,000 to the Boys and Girls Club of the Foothills, $1,880 to Foothills Community Immigrant Services, $7,000 Inclusion Foothills, $10K to High River Food for Thought, $7,500 Wild Rose Community Connections, $1,800 to High River Performing Arts Foundation, and $11,820 to No Student Goes Hungry program.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. I'd like to make that motion, but I'll make a comment. Having sat in on some of these presentations, it was pretty emotional times. I do note that $29,000 is going to food this year. It's just sad that we need that much money to feed our kids. Anyhow, I'll give you that motion. Thank you.
Thank you. No other questions? All in favor? Carried.
Thank you, Council.
Thanks, Glenda. Thanks, Shelley. Foothills Shuffleboard Association request to waive camping fees for tournaments. Nancy? I promise to keep this one appropriate.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Foothills Shuffleboard Association requested financial relief from council at the February 13th regular council meeting. At that time, council deferred the decision to a future committee of the whole meeting. Administration attended the February 27th Committee of the Whole meeting to provide council additional information and to answer any relevant questions. At that time, council suggested that the appropriate relief was to waive the fees associated with the Little Bow Campground rental for tournaments. Administration is seeking approval to waive the fees associated with the Little Bow Campground for tournament play for the Foothills Shuffleboard Association. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Nancy. This one's pretty easy again. Any questions from council? I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Walsh that council approve the waiving of fees associated for the Foothills Shuffleboard Association with the Little Bow Campground for tournament use.
I'll give you that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Nancy. Community Vitality Fund recommendation. Chris?
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. Last week, the CBAC committee, and Angela Caldwell, who's the chairperson of that committee, is unable to make it today, so I'm filling in for her, so I apologize for that. So I can be a little bit more long-winded than Angela, but the mayor will kick me under the table, so we'll see how that goes. So we met last week and we reviewed several applications, and one that has to come back to council for council's approval is a request from Rowan House for $4,000 towards Picnic with a Purpose, and that also includes a partnership with High River Chamber of Commerce. That is part of the policy to bring it back, anything over $2,000 for council approval. The committee recommended that Rowan House be granted this funding allocation and a funding agreement be executed to continue on with Picnic with a Purpose for June 11th, 2023. And the details are in the report of what that's going to entail this upcoming season. And so that's the rationale for the recommendation, Mayor Snodgrass.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Chris? Councillor Smith?
Apologies. Thank you, Mayor. Not so much a comment or question for Chris Prosser, but more a comment that I would like to be recused from the vote, please.
Absolutely. Just due to your association with Rowan House, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. No other questions? I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Nychuk that council award the Rowan House Society and the High River Chamber of Commerce $4,000 from the Community Vitality Fund to support the 2023 Picnic with a Purpose.
You have my motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Chris. Collective agreement changes and council ratification, Sonia?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. As we discussed earlier in the Committee of the Whole meeting, administration is recommending that Council approve and ratify the tentative collective agreement expiring in September of 2027.
So this will be our piece, and then the employees that are part of the agreement vote on it?
Yeah, they will be voting this week and next.
Okay.
Yeah, so our part is today, and then the employees' part is this week and next.
And then it'll be all done?
Yeah.
Okay. No questions for Sonia? I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Jones that council approve and ratify the collective agreement between the Town of High River and the Town of High River Employee Association with an expiration date of September 30th, 2027.
I'll give you that motion, Mayor Snodgrass.
Thank you very much. All in favor? Carried. Thanks,
Thank you.
Sonia. Rimrock Feedlot, Biodigester, standing item. Michael?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of things this week, nothing, and I shouldn't downplay it. We finally had a IMC meeting, intermunicipal council meeting with Foothills County that I thought went very well. That was last Thursday. So the premise of that item on the agenda there was to discuss what the county has been doing, what we have been doing, and my purpose was to come forward with a collective and a not an agreement, but understanding and principle that it's in our best interest to work at this collectively rather than separately. We didn't iron out details or a formal agreement on what that means, but rather than have our community members come at us from both sides, that we would be more open in discussion and sharing information, working towards what we all believe will be the best thing for our communities collectively. So something that did come out of that troubled me a bit, and I've had my opinions of how the county may or may not have dealt with this. And again, that's me personally. That's not council sitting there with me on this. But Reeve Miller has come under some pretty harsh criticisms from community members, whether that's High River or whether that's the county, and some accusations of some things. And I don't want to get into those here, but I'm somewhat disappointed, not somewhat, I am, that people would make public accusations on somebody's credibility out in our communities with things that are unfounded. If you have information on somebody that might have done something untoward in a position of being an elected official, you better be damn sure that before you say something about a person and how they conduct themselves, that you understand and know and have proof that you can make those allegations. Otherwise, stay quiet. I was a bit shaken by that. I know that the council members that I work with are here for the reasons of working for the community. No member that's sitting here am I aware of in any shape or form that they came to these chairs with some kind of a purpose other than serving the community. And I take that trust that most people that put their hand up to get into an elected position do that. Do people waver? Do things happen? Absolutely. Nobody's perfect. There are things that happen. But if you're going to make accusations, either just don't or be prepared to stand up to what you're saying and provide some factual information. So that's, yeah, sorry about that little train ride down that road. It's really not biodigester related. It's related to the credibility of an individual that holds an office with the county of Foothills. But yeah, the good thing out of that meeting was I was happy we had some discussion. We were able to meet face to face and talk about what we're concerned about as the council of High River, as residents of our community. So I'm hopeful that moving forward we can have some more open dialogue together as councils, but also to put more information out into the public purvey so that people have a better understanding. Because as you know, we do a lot of things behind closed doors, so to speak. The doors aren't closed, but those are phone conversations, emails, meetings that we can't have the public there with us all the time, and we do our best at sharing those things, but sometimes there's those misses. So hopefully we can be more open with the dialogue and the communication that both communities and residents receive. Mayor Snodgrass, there was one item in 11.1 on a question about Rimrock. Do you want me to address that question here, or I can just respond to that email?
No, keep going. You can
personally?
address it here if you wish.
So in the correspondence that comes later, there was an email we received to Legislative Services about, and this is not the biodigester, this is the feedlot, but I wanted to publicly acknowledge that we received that here. Obviously, it's in our agenda, but to provide this person a response as well. And so the question was about how Rimrock Feeders was allowed to open, and that it was a closed business. And we don't license it. The county doesn't license it or regulate it. It's the provincial government. So in NRCB's regulations or legislation, the feedlot was never deemed closed. It was deemed depopulated. So the feedlot was still operating as a feedlot, even though there was no cattle there and they were not feeding any. So that is not something as a municipality ourselves or the county of Foothills can address. That's a provincial government thing. That's a regulatory and a legislative thing. But that's the reason that it just popped back open. It wasn't that the county said, oh yeah, just go ahead and open your business back up. It was provincially regulated, and the depopulation of Western Feedlot leaves the door open for another business to come in and reopen it again. So there is no application process other than, I guess, regular business process proving that you're a sound, viable corporation with the best of intentions, those things that go along with being a business. So that was the answer to that. And maybe Mayor Snodgrass wants to make mention of, we are planning, him and I are planning a trip to go and look at a digester. We don't have that quite nailed down yet, but we're trying to get down to Lethbridge to actually get into the facility and have a look. So Mayor Snodgrass has been in contact with those folks down there, but we don't have a definitive date yet. So that's my long-winded address to council and those members of the public. Thank you.
You covered it all off. Very well stated, Michael. Well done. Questions from council? Don't see any. Don't hear any. Board and committee reports. Anything to address. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to remind everybody that Coffee with Council has a second edition for the month of March, and it is happening on the 23rd, which is a Thursday evening at Notre Dame Collegiate School from 6 until 7:30. So anybody who would like to have an audience with the counselor is very welcome to join us that night. Again, it's on the 23rd of March at 6 p.m. at NDC School, and there will not be an early April meeting as a result of the one in the end of March. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Kelly. Anything else? Board and committees? Any public comments regarding anything that we've discussed in the agenda? See none, hear none. Carol, I'm going to get you to come forward, Carol, because the people that are on the live stream are mad because I'm not getting people to come. You have to come forward. If you're going to stand up and talk, you're coming forward. I'm not letting you talk from back there. You got to keep coming, Carol. No, I got to turn the mic on. Don't, no. No, in the middle one. No, no, you got to sit down. There you go. There, we're nailing it.
We're just wondering, the first one out on the JVA on 498, what is that to do with?
That's Calgary Metropolitan Region Board. So they are, it's an area designated for joint collaboration on development between us and Foothills County.
Okay, so
That's under the CMRB.
the development, what is actually going to be development comes later, or?
Correct. So this is just a terms of reference that says this is how the rule of engagement are going to go.
Okay,
And then how everything else goes beyond that are the next steps.
Okay, I apologize for not addressing the council, the mayor and the council.
That's fine. They know. Al?
To that, can we have a better description of what this JPA 4 is, other than it includes 498?
Well, it includes 498. I'll give you the basics of it. Includes the area from, I think it's just north of Cargill, where the boundary is. North of Cargill through to Alderside is called JPA 3, and that's between Okotoks and Foothills County. JPA 4 is kind of south of Cargill down to High River, 498-ish area, and then out on the east side of Highway 2, that development area where the Baptist church is, those kinds of things. That includes all that as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Craig? Mayor Snodgrass?
Yeah, go ahead.
We can provide maps to you, Al. If you want a map, we can get you a map.
Is it not in the agenda? Yes, it is. Okay, it's in the big agenda package. It's there now. No other comments. Council correspondence requiring action. Letter of support request, annual housekeeping item. Ask for a motion from Councillor Smith. The mayor and council authorize the mayor to sign his letter of support for the High River Balloon Festival.
I give you that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. All in favor? Carried. Nice vote, Kinghorn. Green Shirt Day light-up request. Who wants to give just a shred? Karen.
Sure.
Thanks very much.
So we got a request in for Green Shirt Day for a light up request. If you know Calgary, they have the Calgary Tower, so they can light the tower green, which is April 7th is Green Shirt Day for the Humboldt Broncos. So we got this request in, but we obviously do not have a light source that we can change the color to recognize this. So we were thinking that we would just draft a proclamation and then post that on our social medias.
Okay, sounds good. So I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Jones that mayor and council authorize the mayor to sign the proclamation for Green Shirt Day.
I'll give you that motion, Mayor Snodgrass.
Thank you very much. All in favor? Carried. Letter of intent from the Foothills Canucks and High River Kinsmen for interest in partnering with the town of High River to rejuvenate green spaces and parks in the area. Anybody speaking to this?
I guess I can speak to this, Mayor Snodgrass. So we did receive a letter of intent from Foothills Cadets and the High River Kinsmen, and they are interested in partnering with the town of High River to rejuvenate various green spaces and parks in High River. The letter is attached to the council agenda. I believe that in this scenario, this will require a little bit further discussion so that we can understand exactly what that partnership may look like. So if council is in approval of this, we could connect with the Cadets and the Kinsmen and discuss how we move something like this forward.
Thanks, Jody. Can we have each of these groups at a committee of the whole meeting? Just like we did with CVAC kind of thing today? Rather than doing any kind of motion today, we'll invite them. That's the easiest thing to do, to get them in front of council and talk about exactly what the move forward looks like. Council okay with that? All good? Thank you. Council correspondence for information. The question regarding Rimrock feeders, which Michael addressed earlier, and then the email regarding Rimrock renewables. Questions from council on either of those items? Pretty self-explanatory. All good. Meeting adjourned, 3:36.